Hello, students. Today we are going to read the second part of the chapter, The Sound of Music, the Shehnai of Bismillah Khan. As we know, the whole chapter is about the people who have achieved success and recognition through determination, hard work, and courage. This chapter is also about the rich heritage of Indian music and our musical instruments. And the rich heritage of Indian music and musical instruments is shown by Ustad Bismillah Khan. We will read the second part about Ustad Bismillah Khan, who was a great musician, a devout patriot, and a liberal human being. In this chapter, we will discuss the following points. The first one, we will discuss about the history of Shehnai. We'll also know how Bismillah Khan learnt to play Shehnai, the importance of Shehnai in India will also be discussed. Bismillah Khan's views about migrating to USA, his contribution to film world, his love for motherland, his feelings getting the Bharat Ratna. So all these points will be discussed here in the chapter. Think of Shehnai, and the first thing you'll probably imagine is a wedding or a similar occasion or function. Whenever we think of Shehnai, these images come to our mind. The image of festivity. Maybe it is wedding, maybe some other occasion. The next thing that comes in our mind is Ustad Bismillah Khan, is the image of Ustad Bismillah Khan playing this instrument, playing Shehnai. And Ustad Bismillah Khan is a Shehnai maestro, master of Shehnai, who popularized Shehnai. So this first paragraph is about the history of Shehnai. We will know about the predecessor of Shehnai. Emperor Aurangzeb Emperor Aurangzeb banned the playing of a musical instrument called pungi, and pungi can be called the predecessor of Shehnai, who was banned by Aurangzeb. And why did Aurangzeb ban Shehnai? He bans Shehnai because its sound is very shrill, harsh, and unpleasant as well. So he banned that Shehnai would not be played at royal court. Pungi became the generic name for reeded noisemaker. Pungi, the generic name is there for reeded noisemaker that is producing noise, and reeded, a wind instrument that has reeds like the flute, the clarinet, etc. Or generic name, a name given to a class or group as a whole. So, Pungi can be called the predecessor of Shehnai. Few had thought that it would one day be revived, because when it was banned by Aurangzeb, no one had thought that it would relive, it will come to life again. No one had thought. Few without article gives negative sense. So no one had ever thought that this instrument would be come to life again. A barber of a family of professional musicians who had access to the royal palace decided to improve the tonal quality of pungi. He chose a pipe with a natural hollow stem that was longer and broader than the pungi, and made 7 holes on the body of the pipe. When he played on it, closing and opening some of these holes, soft and melodious sounds were produced. He played the instrument before royalty, and everyone was impressed. So now this was the history of Shehnai. What happened? That a person who was a barber, and his family was having professional musicians. So he had access to the royal palace, to the royal court, to the royal palace. The person could reach, could go, having access, the person could go to royal palace, and he decided to improve the quality, the tonal quality of pungi. Then what he did, he chose a pipe. He took a pipe with a natural hollow stem in it. He took a reed, we may say, that was longer and broader than the pungi. Pungi was not longer, so he took a longer and broader reed pipe and made 7 holes onto it on the body of the pipe. When he played on it, and he started to play that pipe, closing and opening some of these holes, the 7 holes, and he closed and opened and he blew into that pipe. Soft and melodious sounds were produced, so he could hear soft and melodious sound. And he played that instrument before royalty as well, and everyone was impressed with this melodious sound. The instrument, so different from the pungi, had to be given a new name. So now, as he had invented a new thing, so a new name was to be given. And what name was given? As the story goes, since it was first played in Shah's chambers, in Shah's chambers, in the chamber of a king, in the room in the court of a king, and it was played by a nai, barber. The instrument was named the Shehnai. The sound of the Shehnai began to be considered auspicious. This sound of Shehnai, because it was a very melodious sound, it produces very melodious sound, so it was considered auspicious. Auspicious, promising to bring good fortune. And for this reason, it is still played in temples and is an indispensable component of any North Indian wedding. So it is a certain indispensable component, indispensable, without which a piece of work cannot be done. So it has become a necessary part of any North Indian wedding. In the past, the Shehnai was part of the Naubat, or traditional ensemble of 9 instruments found at royal courts. So, at royal courts, 9 instruments were found, and it was a part of those 9 musical instruments. Till recently, it was used only in temples and weddings, and we can see that it is used till recently, and we can see that it is used till recently in temples and weddings. The credit for bringing this instrument onto the classical stage, because not played on stage earlier, it was not considered to be a classical musical instrument, but now it is said to be a classical musical instrument. So the credit goes to Ustad Bismillah Khan to bring this musical instrument to the classical stage. Now we will read about Ustad Bismillah Khan. As a 5-year-old, Bismillah Khan played gilli danda near a pond in the ancient state of Dumrao. So where he would live in the ancient state of Dumrao. He would play gilli danda when he was 5 years old in Bihar. He would regularly go to the nearby Bihariji temple to sing the Bhojpuri Cheta, at the end of which he would earn a big laddu weighing 1.25 kg, a prize given by the local Maharaja. And whenever he would sing there the Bhojpuri Cheta, he would get reward, and the reward was 1.25 kg laddu given by the local Maharaja. So he was fond of singing when he was a child, since he was a child. This happened 80 years ago. Now 80 years had passed, and the little boy has traveled far to earn the highest civilian award in India, the Bharat Ratna. So he would get the award of Laddu, and from that point, now 80 years and more than 80 years had passed, and he had got Bharat Ratna, India's most valued civilian award or highest civilian award. Both on 21st March Born on 21st March 1916, Bismillah belongs to a well known family of musicians from Bihar. So he is from Bihar and he belongs to the family of musicians. His grandfather Rasul Baks Khan was the Shehnai Nawaz. Shehnai Nawaz was the title given to someone who would or to someone who was allowed to sing or who was allowed to play at the court. So he was the Shehnai Nawaz of Bhojpur King's court. His father, Pagambar Bucks, and other paternal belonging to the side of father, paternal uncle, ancestors were also great Shehnai players. So from his parents' side, from his father's side, he was having so many persons who could play musical instruments. The young boy took to music early in life. Take to, it's a good phrasal verb, become, to have a habit, to form a habit. So he was in the habit of playing music early in the life. So he started to play music early in the life. At the age of 3, when his mother took him to his maternal uncle's house in now Varanasi, Bismillah was fascinated. He was attracted watching his uncle's practice the Shehnai. So his maternal uncle would also play Shehnai. So whenever his mother would take him to his uncle's house, he would see, or he was really attracted to see his uncles playing that musical instrument. Soon Bismillah Khan started accompanying his uncle Ali Bugs. So he started to play that musical instrument, or soon he started to go with his uncle wherever he would go to the Vishnu temple of Banaras, where Bucks was employed to play the Shehnai. So Ali Bucks, he was employed there to play Shehnai at that temple. Ali Bucks would play the Shehnai and Bismillah would sit captivated. He was really attracted for hours on end. So he was attracted by the way his uncle would play Shehnai, and he would watch his uncle. He would listen to his uncle for hours, for a very long time without stopping. On end, he would watch him on end for a very long time without stopping. Slowly, gradually, he started getting lessons in playing the instrument. His uncle started to give him lessons to play that musical instrument and would sit practicing throughout the day, and he would also sit there practicing that musical instrument, playing that musical instrument. For for years to come, the temple of Balaji and Mangalamaya and the banks of Ganga became the young apprentice's favorite haunts. Haunts, the place where you frequently go. Apprentice is one who is not professional, who learns something under someone. So for many years, where Bismillah Khan practiced playing that musical instrument, the places were the temple of Balaji and Mangalamaya and the banks of Ganga. So these young apprentices became Bismillah Khan's favorite places to go, where he could practice in solitude, alone. The flowing waters of the Ganga inspired him to improvise to amend, to make improvement, and invent ragas that were earlier considered to be beyond the range of the Shehnai. The flowing water of Ganga inspired him. He got inspiration from the murmuring sound of the water of Ganga, and from that sound, inspired by the sound of Ganga, river Ganga, he continued to make some changes in Shehnai, in the tone of Shehnai, and he invented new ragas. It was considered that Shehnai could not produce such rags. That's why it was really a great thing, a great achievement that Bismillah Khan had done. At the age of 14, when Bismillah Khan 14 years old, Bismillah accompanied his uncle. He went with his uncle to Allahabad Music Conference. At the end of his recital, Ustad Faiz Khan patted the young boy's back and said, he tapped the young boy's back. He struck the young boy's back in praise because he was really impressed by the way Ustad Bismillah Khan played, and what Fayez Khan told. What Ustad Fayez Khan told to Bismillah Khan, work hard and you shall make it. And we know that he had worked hard and he had made it. He had achieved success. With the opening of All India Radio in Lucknow in 1938 came Bismillah's big break. So, what was Bismillah's big break? It was big break opportunity, a great opportunity that was given to Bismillah Khan. What was that opportunity given to Bismillah Khan? It was the opening of All India Radio. And how it was the big break, it will be told here. He soon became an often heard Shehnai player on radio because he started to play for radio, on radio, and he became popular. When India gained independence on 15th August 1947, Bismillah Khan became the first Indian. He was the first Indian to greet welcome. When India got independent on 15th August, Bismillah Khan was the first person who welcomed the nation with his Shehnai. He poured his heart out into Rag Kafi from the Red Fort to an audience which included Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. He poured his heart out. So he expressed music from the core of his heart. So whatever emotions he expressed through Shehnai, it was really impressive. Into Rag Kafi. So which rag did he produce on 15th August? It was Rag Kafi from the Red Fort to an audience which included Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was also there. He was listening to Shehnai as well, who later gave the famous Tryst with Destiny speech. Who gave Tryst with Destiny speech? It was Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. And we are talking about the great opportunity that he had got. It was on 15th August when he played Shehnai in front of so many people, and he was considered the first man to greet nation with Rag Kafi. Bismillah Khan has given many memorable performances both in India and abroad because he was very popular. He was master of that instrument, so not only in India but he performed abroad as well. He first His first trip abroad was to Afghanistan. So, for the first time when he went abroad, it was in Afghanistan where King Zahir Shah was so taken in, so attracted by the maestro that he gifted him priceless Persian carpets and other souvenirs. Souvenirs, tokens of memory. So King Zahir Khan, he was impressed by the way he played Shehnai, and he also gave him so many gifts such as priceless, valuable, very precious Persian carpets he bestowed on him, gave him, and other souvenirs as well. The king of Afghanistan was not the only one to be fascinated. He was not only one who was attracted with Bismillah's music. Film director Vijay Bhatt, he was also attracted, was so impressed after hearing Bismillah playing at a festival that he named a film after the instrument called Goons Uthi Shehnai. So, not only King Zahir Khan was impressed by his performance, but Vijay Bhatt, who was a film director, was also impressed, and he made a film after the name of his musical instrument Goons Uthi Shehnai. The film was hit. It was a hit film, and one of Bismillah Khan's compositions and Bismillah Khan's musical performance Dil Ka Khilona Hai Toot Gaya turned out to be a nationwide chart buster, and this song was really praised by everyone. Despite this huge success, So this was a huge success. This was a great success that he was having in the celluloid world in film industry. Bismillah Khan's ventures, his attempts, his project that often involves risk. His work in film music were limited to two. He only gave two performances there, or we can say that only in two films he worked. Vijay Bhatt's Gunjuti Shehnai and Vikram Srinivas's Kannad venture Sanadi Apana. So these were only two songs in which he gave performance. I just can't come to terms with the artificiality and glamour of the film world, he says with emphasis. So he was a very simple person, simple and honest man, emphatically, forcefully, with emphasis. What he said that he could not come to terms with, he could not have good relation. He was not attracted, he was not impressed by the artificiality and glamour of the film world. According to him, film world is artificial. It is only glamorous. And being a very simple person, he thinks himself not to suit such world. Awards and recognition came thick and fast to him. He won a lot of awards. Bismillah Khan became the first Indian to be invited to perform at the prestigious, famous Lincoln Center Hall in the United States of America. So he had the honor to be called to perform at Lincoln Center Hall in the United States of America. This was really great honor for him. He also took part in the World Exposition in Montreal, in the Cannes Art Festival, and in the Osaka Trade Fair. So these were the places where he performed or where he was invited. So it was Lincoln Center Hall, it was World Exposition in Montreal, and it was Osaka Trade Fair as well. So he was asked to play, he was called to play on so many occasions, at so many places. So well known did he become, so he became famous, well known internationally, that an auditorium in Tehran was named after him. So there is an auditorium in Tehran named after Ustad Bismillah Khan, and the name of that auditorium is Tahar Musiki Ustad Bismillah Khan. National awards like the Padma Shri, the Padma Bhushan, and Padma Vibhushan were given to him. In 2001, Ustad Bismillah Khan was awarded India's highest civilian award, the Bharat Ratna. We have already discussed about it, with the coveted award, coveted, well desired, much desired, with this award that everyone desires to have, resting on his chest when he was having that reward to him, and his eyes glinting, his eyes shining with rare happiness. He said, what he said when he got that award, when he got Bharat Ratna. All I would like to say is teach your children music. This is the message that he gives to us, that we should teach our children music. This is Hindustan's richest tradition. We should not forget our tradition, and our richest tradition is music. Even the West is now coming to learn our music. Even the Western countries, people of Western countries come here to learn Indian music. In spite of having traveled all over the world, he traveled all over the world. Khan Sahab, as he is fondly called, he was lovingly called Khan Sahab, is is very much fond of Banaras and Dumrao, and they remain for him the most wonderful towns of the world. So he could not forget his village, he could not forget his city, he could not forget the place he was born. So whenever he is outside, though he had traveled far and wide, still he had not forgotten his village, Banaras. A student of his a student of his once wanted him to head a Shehnai school in USA, and the student promised to recreate the atmosphere of Banaras by replicating the temples here. So one of his students who lived there in USA, and he just gave a proposal. He gave a proposal to Ustad Bismillah Khan. He asked Ustad Bismillah Khan to settle there, and he also promised him that he would recreate the same atmosphere of Banaras by replicating, creating exact copy of the temples. He said that he would recreate the same atmosphere, he would get temples built as are in Banaras. But Khan Saab asked him if he would be able to transport River Ganga as well, because he loved River Ganga a lot. Why does he love River Ganga so much? Because he was connected with River Ganga. He practiced a lot at the banks of Ganga. Later, he is remembered to have said, "That's why whenever I am in a foreign country, I keep yearning to see Hindustan. While in Mumbai, I think of only Banaras and the Holy Ganga. And while in Banaras, I miss the unique Matha of Dumrao." Matha of Dumrao. So these lines show how he was attached to our country, to the place where he lived. What he said, this was the this that was the reason. Whenever he was in foreign country, whenever he is out of India, he yearns, having strong desire to see Hindustan. He wants to live in India. He wants to go to India. And whenever he is in India and he is in some metropolitan city like Mumbai, so he missed Banaras and Holy Ganga as well. And while in Banaras, and when he was in Banaras, he missed his village and Matha of his village. So these lines show his patriotism. These lines show how much he was connected to his motherland. These lines show his patriotism in front of us. This is an extract from an interview. Shekhar Gupta asked a question: when partition happened, didn't you and your family think of moving to Pakistan? This was the question asked by, because he's a Muslim person and he thought that he should have gone there to Pakistan at the time of partition. But Bismillah Khan said, God forbid. He does not want such a thing. God should not let such a thing happen. Me leave Banaras? So this is the question. Never. I went to Pakistan once. I crossed the border just to say I have been to Pakistan. I was there for about an hour. I said namaskar to Pakistanis and salam alaikum to the Indians. I had a good laugh. So these sentences spoken by Bismillah Khan proves him to be a real patriotic. He said that he did not want to leave India, though he went to Pakistan once. It was just to say goodbye to Pakistan. It was just to say that he had been to Pakistan, but he did not want to live there in Pakistan. And he did not have any enmity from the people of Pakistan as well as from the people of India. So he said namaskar to Pakistan and he said salam alaikum to Indians as well. Ustad Bismillah Khan's life is a perfect example of the rich cultural heritage of India, one that effortlessly accepts that a devout Muslim like him can very naturally play the Shehnai every morning at the Kashi Vishwanath temple. So the life of Bismillah Khan, it presents an example of the rich culture of India. Ustad Bismillah Khan's life is a perfect example. Ustad Bismillah Khan's life is a perfect example of the rich cultural heritage of India. India's cultural heritage is rich. One, one, the cultural heritage of India that effortlessly accepts. We accept. Our culture accepts that a devout, fully a devout Muslim like him, he was a devoted Muslim, and being a Muslim, he is allowed to play at a temple. This shows the culture of India, cultural heritage of India. Muslim like him can very naturally play the Shehnai every morning at the Kashi Vishwanath temple. This is one of the greatest things about India. Ustad Bismillah Khan passed away. He passed away, died on 21st August 2006 at the age of 90 after a long illness. He had been ill for a long time and he died on 21st August 2006. He was given a state funeral. State funeral was given to him, and this is really a great thing. And the government of India declared one day of national mourning. So he was given state funeral, and center also, government of India also observed one day mourning, giving tribute to Ustad Bismillah Khan. So, so we have read about such a great personality. Now let us know the message that we get from the life of Bismillah Khan. We learn that hard work and firm determination is the key to success, and he became successful because of his hard work. We also learn that we should not forget India's culture and tradition as Ustad Bismillah Khan spread the culture of India, Indian music, not only in India but worldwide. We also learn that music does not have any religion. We also learn that music does not have any religion because because Ustad Bismillah Khan, being a Muslim person, played Shehnai at the temples beautifully. Music does not have any religion. It is also told. We are also made aware that we should show love to our country. We should be patriotic enough that wherever we are, we should not forget our nation. So I hope you have grabbed the meaning of the chapter and also the message we have got. So thank you for watching this video patiently, and goodbye till my next video.